It was New Year's Eve, 2022. Anna Walshe had just turned 39. She had spent the evening at home with her husband Brian and a close family friend who left around 1 a.m. The three of them had dinner together, celebrated the new year, said goodnight. The kind of quiet evening that, in another life, would have been completely unremarkable. Sometime between 4 and 6 in the morning on January 1st, 2023, Anna Walshe was last seen alive. Brian would later tell police she had woken up with a work emergency and left for the airport to catch a flight to Washington, D.C. He said she called an Uber. Police checked. No Uber, no Lyft, no JetBlue flight. No record of Anna Walshe boarding any plane that day. Her phone stopped pinging near their home in Cohasset, Massachusetts at 3:14 a.m. It never moved again. Anna's co-workers at Tishman Speyer, the real estate firm where she worked as a regional general manager, reported her missing on January 4th, not her husband. Brian called them looking for her that same day, claiming he had no idea where she was. The police began to look. What they found in the next 72 hours would become one of the most disturbing domestic murder cases in modern American history. Before we go any further, you need to know who Anna Walshe was, because she was not just evidence. She was a person who had built her entire life from nothing. Anna Ljubicic was born on April 12, 1983 in Belgrade, Serbia, then still Yugoslavia. She grew up in one of the most turbulent periods in Eastern European history, attended the 5th Belgrade Gymnasium, and earned a degree in French language and literature from the University of Belgrade. In 2005, at 22 years old, she emigrated to the United States. She spoke multiple languages, carried no guarantees, and started at the bottom, working housekeeping at hotels, then climbing into reservations management, then hospitality operations. She earned a certificate in hospitality management from Cornell University. She built herself a career the hard way. She worked at some of the most prestigious hotels in the country, including the Inn at Little Washington and the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, Massachusetts. It was at the Wheatley that she is believed to have met Brian Walshe. They married in 2016. They had 3 sons together. By 2022, Anna had made it. She was a regional general manager at Tishman Speyer, one of the world's largest real estate companies, splitting her time between the family home in Cohasset and a residence in Washington, D.C. She posted about her life on social media, her boys, her career, her mother back in Serbia. She called herself ambitious. She was. "If it's to be, it's up to me," she wrote in a Facebook post in October 2021. She had built her American dream, brick by brick, and then she married the wrong man. This is the part of the story that makes everything else make sense, and also makes it more terrifying. Brian Walshe came from a wealthy Massachusetts family. He attended Carnegie Mellon University. He was, by most accounts, charismatic, articulate, and professional. He claimed to have built a fortune in software. He hosted lavish dinners in Boston, parties that reportedly cost $20,000 or more per evening. He had a beautiful home in the seaside town of Cohasset, a wife who loved him, 3 young sons, and every appearance of success. It was all built on lies. As far back as 2011, Brian Walshe had been running an art fraud scheme. While staying in South Korea with the family of a college friend, he gained access to real Andy Warhol paintings. He stole them. He brought them back to the United States and attempted to sell them. But when galleries refused, he arranged a sale through eBay. He sold one of the Warhols, a piece from the famous Shadows series, to Ron Rivlin, the owner of Revolver Gallery in California, the largest Andy Warhol gallery in the world. But Rivlin received a fake, a reproduction. He knew it almost immediately.
He was very calculated, almost genius about how he went about things.
Brian was indicted on federal fraud charges in 2018. In April 2021, he pleaded guilty to wire fraud, interstate transportation for a scheme to defraud, and unlawful monetary transaction. He was sentenced to 37 months in federal prison, but he hadn't served a day yet. Instead, he was on house arrest, wearing an ankle monitor, awaiting formal sentencing. He was restricted from leaving the house without prior approval. In June 2022, Anna herself wrote a letter to the federal judge on Brian's behalf. She thanked the court for allowing Brian to remain at home with his family. She described him as a devoted father. She said he was working to break old habits. 6 months later, she was dead. On January 2nd, 2023, the day after Anna was last seen, surveillance cameras caught Brian Walshe at a Home Depot in Rockland, Massachusetts. He was not supposed to be there. His house arrest terms required prior approval for any trip outside the home. He made no such request. He bought $450 worth of supplies, mops, a bucket, tarps, cleaning agents. He paid cash. The next day, January 3rd, surveillance cameras caught him again, this time at a Lowe's in Danvers. He was wearing latex gloves and a medical mask. He purchased more than $400 in supplies: a hacksaw, a utility knife, a hammer, shears, a Tyvek suit, shoe guards, rags, and more cleaning products. Again, he paid in cash. Separate cameras caught a Volvo SUV pulling up to dumpsters at an apartment complex near his mother's home in Swampscott. A figure getting out, throwing heavy bags inside, driving away. This happened more than once, multiple dumpsters, multiple days. On January 8th, police arrested Brian for obstruction of justice. The next day, while searching the family home in Cohasset, investigators found a broken knife in the basement and blood. They then searched the dumpsters near his mother's apartment. What they pulled out would stop the courtroom cold 2 years later when it was laid before a jury: a hacksaw, a hatchet, a hammer, shears, a Tyvek suit and safety goggles, a large tarp, 2 blood-soaked towels, a piece of rug saturated in blood, later matched by DNA to Anna Walshe, stained hair samples, a broken section of rug matching a photo of Anna lying on the living room floor that was taken before her death, her COVID vaccination card, Anna's Prada purse, boots matching the ones she was last seen wearing, a bathrobe, slippers. The Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab tested the items. Anna's DNA was found on the hatchet, the hacksaw, and multiple other pieces of evidence. Both Anna and Brian's DNA were on the Tyvek suit. Her body was never found. This is the part that makes the case almost impossible to look away from. Investigators recovered Brian Walshe's laptop and his son's iPad from the home. What they found on those devices was presented in court in December 2025, read aloud to the jury by Massachusetts State Police Trooper Nicholas Guarino.
And after the 27th, did you notice anything further that caught your attention when you were analyzing the data for this device?
Yes. The morning of the first, approximately about 4:55 a.m., began seeing searches of how to dispose of a body.
At 4:52 a.m. on January 1st, 2023, within hours of Anna's death, Brian Walshe typed the following search into Google: best ways to dispose of a body. What followed was 3 days of searches, dozens of them.
At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m., he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit. At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? At 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? At 9:34 a.m. on the 1st, how long does DNA last? At 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? At 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body.
He also searched for dismemberment tutorial videos. He searched for how long DNA survives in different conditions. He searched Washington, D.C. divorce laws, prosecutors arguing this showed premeditation and financial motive. The defense told the jury Brian had found Anna dead in their bed that morning, that he panicked, that the searches were the desperate acts of a man who did not know what to do.
She didn't respond. He nudged her again. a little harder. She didn't respond. He nudged her now in a frantic and panic reaction to where she actually rolled off the bed. You'll hear evidence that now he is panicking and he doesn't understand what has happened and what is happening.
The jury did not believe him. Brian Walshe's murder trial opened on December 1st, 2025, nearly 3 years after Anna disappeared. Before jury selection, he abruptly changed his plea on 2 charges. He admitted to misleading police. He admitted to the improper disposal of a human body, meaning he admitted in open court that he had dismembered his wife and thrown her remains in dumpsters across Massachusetts. But he maintained he had not killed her. His defense attorney told the jury that Anna had died suddenly and unexpectedly in her bed that morning, a natural death, however inexplicable, and that Brian had panicked, made catastrophic decisions, and covered it up out of fear. The prosecution's case was built without a body. In nearly 3 years of investigation, Anna Walshe's remains were never recovered. Prosecutors built their case entirely on physical evidence, digital evidence, surveillance footage, DNA, and motive. The motive, they argued, was double. First, money. Brian Walshe was the sole beneficiary of Anna's $2.7 million life insurance policy. Second, Anna had been having an affair with a real estate broker in Washington, D.C., and Brian had discovered it. Prosecutors said searches on his devices in the weeks before her death showed he had been looking into it. The defense denied he knew about the affair. After roughly 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned its verdict on December 15th, 2025. Guilty. First-degree murder.
As to count 1, wherein the defendant Brian Walshe is charged with murder in the first degree, what say the jury? Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty of what, sir?
Murder in the first degree.
Murder in the first degree, so say you, Mr. Foreperson.
I do.
Guilty of murder in the first degree, so say all deliberating jurors.
I do.
Thank you. If you could hand that back to the court officer, please.
At this time, we'd move to poll the jurors.
Brian Walshe showed no emotion as the verdict was read. Before the judge spoke, Anna's sister, Alexandra Dmitrievich, addressed the court.
My name is Alexandra Dmitrievich, and I'm the sister of Anna Walshe. I am here today to represent myself and my mother. I want to share with the court how losing my sister in January 2023 has forever changed our lives and left us with an unbearable emptiness. Losing my sister Anna so unexpectedly has altered our world in ways we never imagined. Anna was not just my sister. She was someone I grew up with, someone who knew me in ways no one else ever will. I struggle with the grief that comes without warning, hoping every morning that this is all just a terrible dream. The most painful part of this loss is knowing her children must now grow up without their mother's hand to hold. They now face a lifetime of milestones, big and small, where her absence will be deeply and painfully felt.
Judge Diane Frenier sentenced Brian Walshe to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The seriousness of your acts cannot be overstated, the judge said. She called his crimes barbaric and incomprehensible, and chastised him for his deceitful and manipulative behavior. He was also sentenced to 19 to 25 years for witness intimidation and 2 to 3 years for the improper disposal of a body, to run consecutively.
Mr. Walshe, you will live with the guilt and burden of Anna Walshe's death for the rest of your life. As to count 1, the jury having convicted you of murder in the first degree, I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to indictment 2, lying to the police in connection with the investigation of a life felony, I sentence you to no less than 19 years, no more than 20 years, the statutory maximum, in prison, to be served consecutive to the life sentence in 001.
Brian Walshe showed no emotion. Anna Walshe's body has still never been found. Prosecutors were working to obtain a death certificate for her after the conviction, because without a body, no death certificate had been issued. Without a death certificate, the church would not allow a funeral. Her family cannot bury her. Her 3 sons are in state custody. They lost their mother on New Year's Day. They are growing up without her. 6 months before she was killed, Anna Walshe sat down and wrote a letter to a federal judge asking him to go easy on her husband. She described him as a devoted father. She said he was changing. She thanked the court for keeping him home with his family. She did not know he had already searched years earlier how to sell stolen art. She may not have known the full extent of the fraud, the manipulation, the lies that had surrounded her life. Or maybe she did know some of it and she loved him anyway. Or maybe she was afraid. We don't know. What we know is this. At 4:52 in the morning on January 1st, 2023, while his 3 sons slept upstairs and the new year was barely 5 hours old, Brian Walshe typed "best ways to dispose of a body" into Google. He bought a hacksaw. He drove to his mother's apartment. He threw what was left of his wife into dumpsters spread across the Massachusetts suburbs. And then he called her office and told police she had left on a work trip and waited 4 days for someone else to report her missing. Anna Walshe came to the United States at 22 years old with a language degree and a determination to build a life. She worked her way from housekeeping to executive. She had 3 sons. She had a home by the ocean. She called herself ambitious. She was. She deserved a life that matched the one she had worked so hard to build. Anna Ljubicic Walshe, born April 12, 1983, Belgrade, Serbia. Last seen January 1st, 2023, Cohasset, Massachusetts. She deserved to come home.